All right, what is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel, Connor on Chains. So, let's cover some stuff with Bitcoin, with altcoins. We'll get into a bunch of different stuff today. So, as far as allocating into Bitcoin, into crypto, most people would tell you to buy the dip, jump into the dip. We're going so much higher from here, guys. Trying to give you guys an unbiased look on both sides. Because even for me, even though I did end up buying the dip a little bit today, but I am in no way, shape, or form trying to just full port every single penny I have left in the market. I'm actually being very cautious of potential downside. While still trying to maximize as far as any upside in the future if we get some. So as far as Bitcoin price action, there's a couple things I want to cover with it because it actually looks very similar to legitimately a year ago. Not even a year ago. What is this, in March? Like 9-10 months ago, which is very weird. Let me pull this out. So this is on a daily. Do I think this is going to play out exactly like this? Not necessarily, but to me it just kind of resembles this a lot. We try to draw this out. Outside of this, I probably shouldn't have drawn, but if you look at it kind of like that, that's kind of what I'm thinking as far as potential, but I don't think it's just going to be a dump here, and then we just go sideways like for 3 months. But it's like we have this huge pump here. Excuse me. We have this huge leg up right here, which I actually consider from here. Not this down here. This would be kind of considering this area. You go from down here into the big pump, into then upward consolidation into another pump. We have this area here into the pump, upward consolidation into the pump, into then a big push down, which would be considered here a big push down. And then we have just another overall run into an all-time high over the next few weeks. Even though this is a lot, sooner. I think this happened over the span of maybe a week and a half, from that dump. From here, this went from November 28th to the 16th. This took like 2 weeks. But, overall fairly similar how this price action actually happened. But then after that, we had that final dump here. It kind of took out. It's not going to be a very clean trend whatsoever. But, if you kind of consider this a trend at the time, this was kind of like a very strong uptrend. And then if you consider, I don't know, maybe this an uptrend, which would be kind of similar to this, which this would be, maybe something like this. But, this would be way down the road as far as where we are. But then that would be something like this where we got this here. And that would mean that price eventually, attempts to go up, bounces, bearish momentum, and then it actually breaks well below that. But that's probably not the cleanest either. But, to me, it looks very similar, but I don't think it's going to play out the same exact way. But bottom line, the reason why, like I said earlier, I'm not full porting into anything and everything at the moment. Because, to me, it's very hard for me to see and think that we're going to really just cook all the way into 120, 130, 140K, going into January, February, March. Even though, of course, we were in a bull run. Anything can happen. It's just very unclear at the moment to me. Usually there's a lot more signs, that would make me very bullish one way or bearish the other. But this market has given me the most mixed signals like I've ever seen. It's very hard to know, just what exactly is going to happen. But, bottom line, it's like even ETH still looks, okay from where it's sitting and where it's at. But I mean, same thing at a clean break of a trend here. It doesn't mean it's necessarily bearish by any means. It's just, still kind of forming some sort of bullish momentum, but it's having a tough time breaking this. But usually when we have some kind of momentum like that, something like this, it's basically just going to hold above this area. It basically can do whatever the hell it wants to do, as long as it continues to make higher lows and then eventually test the previous resistance again, even if it does it twice. It could do this, looks like it's about to break again, have a huge dump again, and then continue up, As long as it has that momentum that is going to the upside from the low or from the bottom area and eventually pushes and breaks, that is bullish for ETH. And I still think at some point Ethereum has got to catch up. This thing has been an absolute turtle over the cycle so far. Thing is slow as shit, guys. Like, someone tell Vitalik, Vitalik, whatever the hell his name is, start cooking that shit up. Get that thing moving a little bit. Solana, same thing. It's still looking pretty bullish from a very high time frame, but obviously it's at a major dump, major correction here. But I've seen a lot of controversial takes too on Sol. I think a lot of people are predicting that from here, it may not perform or outperform anything, like it did. Because it's been an outperformer most of 2023 into 2024, right? A lot of people are predicting that other chains, obviously ETH is going to be something that does very well. But a lot of people are predicting other chains are actually going to kind of outperform it. But regardless of what's ever happening, I still believe ETH has a lot more to go. Even if it has short term has to dip again, I still think it has at least one more push into at least 300 to like 350, maybe higher than that. But as far as Solana this cycle, I still think there's no shot that it doesn't break its all-time high. I think a lot of altcoins with strength right now are still in the same boat, outside of, some random ones, right? But I mean, Sui's strength has been undeniable. Literally just the same thing. It doesn't want to dip or have an actual correction. Very similar to Virtual, which is another one I want to bring up. Because, guys, this coin, this is why I've been preaching this for almost 2 months now. This thing is a powerhouse of a coin. And I was going to get into a lot of the certain things about why it was so successful. I made a video on our Discord a few days ago, kind of going in depth with everything about Virtual and why it was so successful, or why it is so successful within the current narrative. Its tokenomics are just absolutely phenomenal, and I see close to like nobody talking about it. Blows my mind because this is probably the tokenomics model. This is probably the coin that every other coin in the market needs to pay attention to, as far as how it was launched, how they built it, how they operated it. And I'll drop a video going in depth, kind of analyzing why it was so successful and what to look for in other projects when it comes to the success of this, because again, I don't see anybody talking about it. And I think it's actually crucial if projects are going to succeed like this again. There's 3 main factors, which again, I'll get into in another video. But again, Virtual is just killing it, guys. And its whole ecosystem is one of the only ecosystems that I've seen that is really just non-stop starting to cook, AIXBT has been one of the top, Virtual's agents, regardless, sitting at 310 million in market cap right now. I remember I made a video about this showing you guys. I mean, I told you literally do not buy it down here. It's like 4 or 5 million. Again, I'm not saying I called this, because I didn't. I told people not to buy this, and I didn't buy this one myself. But this one is just cooked, guys, right? Same with Game. This thing has been fucking going crazy. I remember seeing Game like literally down here when it was bottomed out for a month. This thing has just gone parabolic. This is the only ecosystem. I mean, maybe some agents haven't performed too well, but even Vader, this is one of my favorite virtuals agents. Currently, it looks like it's about to break into its all-time high as we speak. Vader here is showing a ton of strength. There's just so many agents that I think have a ton of potential, and it just seems like a lot of blue chips have formed within the virtuals ecosystem. But there's been a lot of really interesting developments happening on this front. But I mean, as far as what's going on right now, that's kind of what I wanted to cover. Because again, at the moment, I am very much so just locked into Bitcoin price action. But very short term, I still expect Bitcoin might have to chop a little more. But I think it's at a minimum, it has to bounce here. Again, I say it has to, but anything can happen in crypto. I could be completely wrong. I would think that it should bounce somewhat where it is over probably the next 2 or 3 days. Even on an RSI. Again, I bring up an RSI, so often, guys. I use it for basically everything and anything price action. It usually predicts pretty accurately where price is going to go outside of, huge candles, liquidations, shit like that. But, it's kind of showing some bullish momentum, meaning at least for the time being in the short term, this probably is going to go up a little bit before it would then continue down because, literally 2 days ago or 3 days ago now, I mean, this really bottomed out. This is very oversold. What about on a daily? And on a daily, you can see it actually coming very low, almost reset back into the, kind of like the 50-ish range. Currently underneath the 50 right now. Which is good for a reset for the RSI. But again, that doesn't mean that it can't go lower, though, from here. But you also got to keep in mind and look at when was the last time the RSI was this low. When it was sitting at around, 43? Basically down here when we were at 60K. And again, I'm not saying that this is now gearing us up for another $50,000 leg up from 60 to here is going to happen again. But, again, I think a reset for the RSI was needed. I didn't expect it just from this to actually reset this all the way down here. But, I think it's got to bounce a little bit at some point. There's no telling if, this is just going to go all the way back down. I don't think it is. But, like I said, worst case, we may just end up seeing either two things happen. I think either way, I am expecting a bounce to at least like 100K, maybe 103, 104. But if that doesn't hold and we get some shitty price action, and what I mean by that is usually when we see reversal signs too and, chop, is we usually just see very choppy, very weak upside, kind of like this here. Just little candles, but slowly just going up. But then what happens? We get this nice little chop, and then when the sellers start coming, you just get heavy-ass sells. That's a lot of time a really good thing as far as price action to look for. So I don't know. So we'll see what happens. Like I said, I think the main area I'm paying attention to, though, at the highest would be around 103 to 104. That general range of price. If you'd actually be looking to potentially short the market, fuck it. Something like that. And just ride it to where, maybe the lows like 90K, 80 something. Or I mean, I don't know. I'm not trying to tell you guys to do anything with your capital right now, but I think short term, basically it would be something like this. And I'll leave this up and I'll pull this up in another video and we'll see what happens with this. But I would say it does not break 90 in the short term, maybe even like something like that. I think it goes up to probably 102 maybe. And then after it finally hits that, I'm not taking these trades. I just kind of want to see, because this is what my gut has been telling me is exactly going to happen. And then we're going to go down. So I'm expecting price to chop, bounce, do whatever. Have some sort of, maybe a nice little day before it forms some bearish momentum into a dump. One more time down, and I think that low, whatever forms, if that happens, this is where I'd be loading the boat on lots of altcoins I've been waiting to jump into. This, I think the markets would easily reset if it had a lower low from here. And the reason why I didn't do it up here is because this could reverse at 100K. 100K, 101, 102, 103. There's no telling what's going to happen, but this is kind of the price action my gut has been telling me, and I think, at least based on previous price actions of how we see this, is usually there is going to be another attempt back up from here before it just nukes. This is going to be the top, at least for now. But if I'm wrong, guys, prove me wrong. If we continue to go up and all of our bags are going up, prove me wrong, right? I say that all the time. Like, I want to be proved wrong, send all of our bags way higher, right? But as far as being safer in the market, that's kind of what I would think is going to happen. But outside of that, guys, still, I think paying attention to altcoins that are at lows, even loading up a little bit as the market starts to drop, and if it drops lower, add a very little bit at a time to certain coins, I think is probably your best bet at the moment. I have just actually bought a little bit of, an altcoin today, because, a lot of coins are down significantly, right? So I think a lot of coins just at very good dips, worst case. But again, I'm not full porting anything right now because of my belief in what the market is going to do. But again, we'll see over the next couple weeks what actually happens. But that's how I'm playing it right now. Just very light DCAs into very strong projects at the moment. We'll probably see a little bit of a bounce, and if we do, watch for price action and heavy sells in that area in between, maybe even as low as 98. But I'd say probably around 100 to 104 would be the range, where if it does not hold and we see heavy sell candles consistently for like a day or two, this is probably just going to continue a lower low from this area. But I think after that, I don't think it's going to go much lower. So that's what that's what I'm watching for Bitcoin. I appreciate you guys watching, and I'm sorry I'm not dropping videos right now on, buy this coin because it's going to 50x tomorrow. Like, guys, to me, it's just getting to a point where it can be pretty risky to be just starting to jump into coins right now because of what the market is looking like. But again, if we start to get down here, I will be dropping a bunch of videos on coins to be looking at. As long as the market looks like it wants to actually bounce, chop, and then we're actually going to see a reaction for an alt season. And that's what I'm watching right now. But either way, I still think we'll probably get an alt season regardless of whatever the hell happens, because I think either way it's bullish for alts. Even though short term they're probably going to dump even further, worst case. But either Bitcoin goes up here, dumps, and I think at some point an alt season happens, or it goes down here, dumps, and then we probably get an alt season. So either way, I'm still preparing for some sort of run in alts over the next few months here, because if nothing actually happens with alts, I'd kind of question it. At least some alts, making another leg, not necessarily running 50x to all-time highs, like this euphoric pump, but I do expect a good run coming soon. So that's my advice for now. Again, this market is just ridiculous right now. It's very hard to know what's happening. That's why we're taking it day by day. But I appreciate you guys watching, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks.